Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the true... What on earth? Obviously, I've been away for a little bit, so I'm a little bit rusty. Welcome, not to True Sight, my Dota show, but to the SmashBros AMA brought to you by the Daily Dot. I, of course, am your host, Ian Double John Barker, back after a 2-week hiatus. I hope you missed me because I certainly missed your beautiful faces. Joining us tonight is a Smash 4 Fox beyond compare. We have none other than the extremely technically gifted LarryLurr coming at you. Larry, how are you doing this evening?
I am good. You're making me sound like I'm some sort of god.
I've watched quite a bit of footage of you today, and I have to say I was extremely impressed. Probably not as impressed as your opponents have been. I mean, you've taken down guys like Void and Mr. R over the past few months. I mean, you have to admit you're rising in the ranks a little bit.
Oh, a little bit. I wouldn't really say rising so much as people are just noticing more, I guess.
A high compliment for yourself. Please don't be too arrogant on our show. Of the modest LarryLurr, where we're going to talk to him a little bit about Fox Tech, Falco, and the future of Smash 4, especially with the new patch coming out. For those of you who aren't familiar with the format, we every week we give you a new guest, and you ask questions of that guest, and I read your questions. Isn't that something? We've got a new batch of questions this week for LarryLurr. Larry, are you ready for the best and worst that the community has to offer?
I am so ready.
Awesome. Let's kick it into high gear. All right, so kicking things off with the most upvoted question from the Reddit thread. VR, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Why do you think everyone hates Falco?
Well, I think it's because, as a character, he is very, very cocky and arrogant. If you played any of the Star Fox games, he is super, super annoying. Like, Fox will save him, and he'll just be like, oh, well, I guess I should be thankful. Things like that. And then in Smash, he's just a really, really... I feel like, as a new-coming player, especially in Melee and in Brawl, he was very, very hard for newer players to deal with just because of how strong his short-hop laser was and how good his zoning was. And that in combination with his punishes just were really, really annoying. Yeah. And when I first started off, before I even got into the competitive scene, a lot of the friends I played were just super, super annoyed with Falco.
And you think that just carried over to Smash 4, or is there's something about Smash 4 Falco that has sort of reignited that hatred?
Well, I feel like Smash 4 Falco doesn't really get that much hate anymore. He's actually more loved because I feel like he's very unrepresented because not many people play him because he doesn't really have what he had in the previous Smash installments.
I mean, first of all, he's got that weird shine that, like, projects outward. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know how to use it. But it's there. I mean, and let's talk for a second about how weird it is that despite Spacey's success in Melee, they're like the underdogs of Smash 4. I mean, is that not just a surreal existence for you as a Fox player to basically be taking not a low tier character, but to be basically like you could compare it to Hungrybox being one of the few people who plays Jigglypuff. You're one of the only top players that plays Fox right now. How does that feel to carry the standard for Fox in Smash 4?
I personally feel like Fox is a lot better than what people. Well, I feel like a lot of top players think he's really good, but I think that among the mid and lower level players, he's not really looked at as strong as I think he is, and that's really because as Fox, you need to be really, really precise about how you go about doing things, especially because he's such a glass cannon. So if you miss a kill confirm, that opportunity doesn't really come up that often, and he's really, really light and he falls really fast, so he's very easy to get comboed.
Yeah, they sort of made the spacies easier to deal with in this game. It feels like their movement's a little bit restricted for a character that's as moves as quickly, because arguably in Melee that's sort of what allowed spacies to excel, isn't it? Because even though they can die easily, their movement is just unparalleled.
Oh yeah, especially mainly because of the shine. It's their movement in combination with the pressure that no other character can really give off in any Smash game, with the shine short hop aerial pressure that he has. It's just really ridiculous. And then he has so many in Melee. They had so many options out of that. Like they could shine to grab you, which is that covers two options. That covers them that covers them shielding, that covers them trying to like get away. So it's ridiculous.
A little, some would argue that the power disparity is a little unfair sometimes, but ladies and gentlemen, you just need to get good. Moving on to our next, I have so many questions I would love to ask you about the new Fox, if you will, as it exists in Smash 4, but I'm sure one of our viewers has a question and I don't want to step on their toes. So moving on to our next question. This one is by Subtle Typos. Subtle Typos, welcome back to the show, who asked, what convinced you to pick up and pursue Donkey Kong, and how far do you plan on taking the DK meta, if at all?
Okay, so I am a person who likes to explore character metas and just mess around with them. And when I saw Donkey Kong, like with the new Ding Dong, the cargo throw double jump up air that he has, it was really, really good. So I saw that, I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing. I gotta jump on that. And what really brought me to start using them more was there was an event where I went to Hawaii, and DK Will was also there, who is widely considered the best Donkey Kong main. And I saw him play and just learned a lot of stuff from him. And once that happened, I would say as soon as I got back, I just like kept playing DK like over and over and over again against everyone. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to just go all Donkey Kong at this one tournament. I think I'm going to lose, or I may lose, but I think it'll be a great learning experience. So I go Donkey Kong at this tournament. This tournament has like the likes of K9, Void, and some other people, and I end up winning. And I'm just like, oh, well then, guess my Donkey Kong is a lot better than I expected. People don't really know that much about the character. Either way, I'm going to abuse this until it stops working.
Yeah, one of the, I watched some film on you today, and one of the most hype matches I watched all day was you beating Void at 2GGT when you landed Donkey Kong's down smash on him off the ledge, and I like fell out of my chair. It was so hype. I mean, this is a character that like weirdly, in the past it's sort of been thought, if you have a slower character and if you don't have mechanisms to make up for your lack of speed compared to other characters, you're in trouble. And yet Donkey Kong seems like, I don't know, he almost seems to fit your play style because you're such a patient player and you wait for the right opportunity. Is that what gives you success, or is there something else about the character that we just aren't seeing yet?
I would say it is that, and I also abuse the fact that he has probably some of the best tilts in Smash 4. A lot of people don't know this, but when he does his down tilt, his forward tilt, and his up tilt, his hands are actually intangible, which means you can't hit him. You can't hit his hands.
So he's just like a giant like hitbox at that point when you're doing that stuff.
Yeah, he's just like swinging his hands at you, and it's just like, oh crap, what do I do? I can't hit his hands, but he can hit me with his hands.
I remember in that set against Void, there were several times where you caught him with an up tilt on the edge because the hitbox is just like a rainbow. It just covers like the whole platform half the time. Yeah,
the other ridiculous thing about that hitbox is there's actually a sweet spot on it. I learned this from DK Will. There's a sweet spot on the hitbox. It's like around his arm or shoulder, where when he lands it, it's almost as strong as Fox's up smash. So you can kill people super, super early with it if you get that. Like I've gotten some people with it and they're like, what? How did that kill me? I'm like, yep. That's right. Oh, but I feel like I didn't really answer the question the person asked, which is like if I plan on pursuing DK's meta. And I would say yes. I still feel like there's a lot of unexplored things that could be done with DK. And there's also things I don't really do with the character himself. Like, I'm sure a lot of people who watch my matches as DK, and then you compare them to DK Wills, I almost never use down B. I'm not very good with his I'm not good with any of his B moves. I just abuse the fact that he has incredible tilts, and I'm really good at landing grabs, which I would say I got that capability from playing Brawl, because Brawl Falco, if you are unaware, he had a chain grab in that, and that was like you can chain grab someone from 0 to 40 to like 40ish or something, and after that you get a follow up to a tech chase. So I had to be really good at getting grabs, because something like that strong of a punish game in Brawl is kind of it's not something you saw very often in a lot of characters. So a lot of characters weren't going to let you, or a lot of players weren't going to let you get that grab.
Well, I mean, another thing that seems to contribute to your success with DK is the fact that, especially with the way that you play Fox, it's very neutral game focused. It's very much based on putting the hitbox out there, getting the kill set up, and that seems to be how you play DK too. Is there a reason that other people haven't picked up the DK counter pick, if you will, because you're picking it into matchups like Sheik, which, while Sheik is light and can be thrown off the screen, seems dangerous considering her combo potential.
I feel like that there are people who actually they have figured out that DK has some problems against Fox, Sheik, Zero Suit, among some other characters, but it's not really that. How do I put this? I would say regardless of how big of an issue he has in those matchups, if I get the grab, that's it. Like, like what do you do when you're just pretty much? It's like you saw in like my set versus Void and other characters where I use DK. They're destroying me, and then I grab them, or like I just hit them and they die. So.
Yeah, that's one thing EE said repeatedly during those matchups was, okay, he's at 118%. He's still in this because it only takes a couple hits. And sure enough, you get a jab, you launch them with the up tilt, and then you're burying them off the map. And then as soon as they get back, you're into the grab setup and they're dead. And it's like, why did all that damage matter? You know?
Yeah.
That's gotta feel pretty good.
I love it. And like the reason I enjoy it is because it's not really so much that I'm playing the matchup as DK. It's much more than I'm playing the player, because regardless of like how the matchup should be, there's always room for human error. Someone's gonna make a mistake, and from that mistake, I can just heavily capitalize off of it. And with DK, if I capitalize on it, you could be gone at like 40%.
And yet, unlike Jigglypuff in Melee, who gets the rest set up and gets the KO, the other player can't just immediately come in with invincibility and just, up tilt you or up smash you off the level. You're still so heavy that you're still going to be around for a while. You still got to deal with this big dumb gorilla for another, like, probably 40 or 50%.
Yeah, there's been some matches where I just live to like 200% because the other thing that I enjoy about playing DK compared to Fox is that I feel like with Fox, I'm so much more focused on moving around and just trying to make my opponent flinch or just like a movement habit. Whereas with DK, I'm just trying to find the kinks in your armor, but like rather than making you flinch. I kind of already know exactly why you're flinching because I'm DK.
Yeah, because either a giant fist or a huge up smash is coming at you.
Exactly.
Well, I would love to talk about DK even more because I'm an advocate, a heavy advocate of King DDD. So any low tier characters, although obviously DK probably a tier or two higher than the Penguin with the big hammer. Moving on to our next question. Fallen wants to know, do you think Fox is a fair character? This feels like a loaded question. Do you think Fox is a fair character? After landing your 4th up air in a row, do you ever think maybe this isn't all right?
All right. So Fallen is a good friend of mine. So I would say that I do think among the top tiers, Fox is a very fair character. He has a very good punish game. He has a very good neutral. But like I said before, he is a glass cannon. So if you combo him and get him off stage, and you're proficient at edge guarding Fox, it's very, very hard for him to come back. If you watch some of my sets versus Void as Fox, he'll just throw me off stage and I'll be there for like 10, 20 seconds, which it doesn't sound like much, but in gaming, like in Smash, that's a really long time to be off stage.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then about what he said about the up airs, I mean, I don't know what to say. Don't get hit by them. Don't be above me, man.
And don't and look out for those up tilts. I feel like that little up tilt where you just pop the foot up. I feel like that one is where I saw you catch a lot of people who miss like a pivot grab or something like that, and suddenly they're just in the air for like 10 seconds, just getting kicked over and over.
Yeah, his up tilt is probably the best one in the game, especially when you utilize the perfect pivots that he has with it, because it's probably one of his best approaching tools. And then that combined with like his up air, it does so much damage. It may not be fun to get hit with, but it feels so fun and rewarding to get people with.
Yeah, don't get hit by it, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's some people, I'll play them, and at a very low percent, they'll just jump above me. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I'll just keep up airing them over and over and over and over again. It's just like, okay. I mean, don't do that again.
You made this happen. Like,
yeah,
I'm just
you chose this life. You made this path and you went across it, and I am there to up air you for it.
With the lack of he still got Fox obviously has the same. Wow. The same side B. We got it. But he obviously doesn't have the short anymore like he did in Melee. Obviously, his movement isn't quite as crisp as it was in Melee. Do you feel like it's easier to edge guard Fox in Smash 4, or do you think that he's still got the versatility needed to make that matchup difficult?
It's still fairly easy to edge guard Fox, but I feel like that's just something you have to accept as a character. Like, he's really good on stage, but off stage, if you're playing someone who's really good at edge guarding him, not so much. But he does have some benefits from his recovery. Like, it's not exactly the same as it was in Brawl or even Melee. Like, his side B actually is faster. Like, it comes out faster. So it's I would say more difficult to react to, but once you get used to that, it's fairly the same. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing he has that he didn't have in Melee, he had it in Brawl, but it wasn't as powerful, is that you can do a short hop and cancel your short hop and immediately side B. Once you do that and you land with it, you have like almost no landing lag, so it's a really good approaching tool. And then like it leads to combos, it leads to up air.
And that leads to a stock, which leads to you upsetting Mr. R at Genesis 3. Moving on to our next question, we've got one from Main Kofigo. I hope I pronounced that right. Who asked, your set with Void at the EE Saga where you reverse 3-0'd him with DK was incredible. I have to agree. Why do you think DK works so well in a losing matchup against one of the best Sheiks? Now that Sheik is nerfed, will you be using DK exclusively versus Sheiks?
So it's actually funny. It's something that I do a lot, or I did a lot, or I'm doing a lot in Smash 4, where because I have so many characters in the best of fives, when I'm down 2-0, sometimes I'll just switch. I'll just be like, I feel like I understand what this person's doing with this character, but I'm gonna switch. It's gonna catch them off guard. And because they're staying their character, I still have an understanding of what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So I think that was just the case at EE Saga. Because, funny enough, I don't know what it is, but I actually reverse 3-0 a lot of people. Like I don't know why, but I do it a lot.
Just as
Um,
soon as you're backed into a corner, that's when you come out swinging, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, at that situation, that's when the Kong came out. Um, and as far as me going exclusively DK against Sheik, I wouldn't say exclusively. I don't want to limit myself to just doing that, especially when I have so many characters that I could use. Like, I could use Mario against Sheik. I still have Fox. I mean, I even have Corn and some other characters that I could go against Sheik. So I'm gonna test the waters, you know. Like I said, I sometimes I'll go down 2-0 and then I'll switch and then I'll reverse 3 someone. So
Well, and it's funny because a lot of people like to talk about characters exclusively in terms of character matchups and what they're capable of. But I mean, the reality of judging a matchup is that even if a character is capable of something, that doesn't mean that your opponent's going to use it in that way. And it sounds like maybe where you gain your edge, especially in reverse 3-0ing people, which is a great reputation to have, by the way, it's less about saying what is this character capable of and more of what is my opponent's tendency and how can I take advantage of that. Do you think that gives you a leg up in those situations?
I definitely do. I love to play the player matchups. I love to when I'm playing someone, I'll keep mental notes of what they're doing because I feel like just the mental aspect of the game is something that's so powerful, and I also think it's something that not too many people talk about. Like, yeah, you could be playing the matchup, but what do you do when you mentally just you mentally guard break someone? like it happens where you'll see someone they'll just get mentally guard broken, and what I mean by that is maybe consecutively things will not go their way and they'll just get destroyed, and it's heartbreaking. Like it's happened to me too, where it's just like crap. I can't win. I mean, it's something that you don't want to say to yourself, but it happens from time to time, and this is sound horrible to say, but I love doing that to people. I love making them feel like it's just like, oh, I can't win. Like this is hopeless. I feel like once I like instill that in my opponent's head, then I've won because I could do whatever I want. I've like just mentally beaten this person, and now I just have to do it in the game.
It's hard not to get a little bit of sick satisfaction out of watching your opponent opt into stupid situations because you've effectively broken them mentally. I know what you mean. Certainly not the level that you've done it, but I've done that to some of my college roommates back in college.
Nice.
They also got better grades than I did. Well, we're going to talk about the current patch next, but I actually want to talk about Smash 4 as a whole, as long as we're talking about mindset. We've talked a little bit about how you have a lot of characters that you can go to, about how the tier list for Smash 4 in particular is arguably quite a bit more flat, quite a bit narrower vertically than a lot of Smash games before. Do you think the importance of the mental game will become more prevalent in Smash 4 because there's less characters that are just so overwhelmingly dominating naturally?
I would say not really so much the mental aspect, but I would say the player matchup because there are so many characters that are there are so many characters that are viable, and obviously not every player is going to understand every matchup. So because of that, you could abuse that fact, and like let's say, I'm throwing this out there. I'm considered the best Fox in the world, so when I play people who aren't from SoCal, they're not going to know the Fox matchup nearly as well as anyone else would. So why would I try to go Sheik, which is a matchup that people understand more, when I can just go Fox? And then the same with DK. Not many people really know the DK matchup that well, but if I'm playing someone from New York where Will lives, I'm definitely not going to go DK because clearly they're going to know the matchup a lot better than most people would.
Well, it's obviously fascinating to hear about the layers of decision making that go into that process, because I don't know that there's a lot of people out there that know the players are out there thinking about, well, this guy's a SoCal player, so obviously I'm not, I'm gonna go. He's gonna know the Fox matchup better, so that's really cool. I don't want to. I have a tendency to do this where I get really interested in a question or two, and then spend 45 minutes talking about 3 of them, and then the next 15 minutes going through 20 questions. So we'll try to space it out a little bit more tonight. Our next question comes to us from Golosh, whatever. Please give me a phonetic pronunciation of your names of the Reddit thread. I would appreciate the hell out of that. Galosh just wants to know your opinions on the current patch.
The current patch, I actually think, was pretty fair. I know a lot of people are complaining about Sheik and Meta Knight, but from what I've seen, just from tournament sets from the new patch, a lot of the characters are still good, they're still viable, and what they did take out didn't really eliminate what intrinsically made the character good. Like with Sheik is amazing because she has the best neutral in the game and she has the best like runaway options. She's a freaking ninja, so she has all of those tools. And then with Meta Knight, he has very strong ground game because of his amazing dash attack, and then he also has very strong strings from that dash attack. And though they did take away like the strongest one he had, he still has other ones. And in fact, he could still do the up air string to the up B. It's just not as strong as it was in the previous patch where he could do like 5 or 6 in a row.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you say that because what I'm hearing is they took away a strong option, but he has others. And I play a competitive card game called Netrunner, and if we're learning one thing in that community right now, it's the fact that a silver bullet can really kill people's enthusiasm for a game. Do you think nerfing strong characters and sort of flattening the tier list a little bit is better for the game as a whole, or would you rather see a game where we've got sort of a core group of characters and then some fun characters down below?
Oh, no. I actually feel like the way that they're going about balancing this game is fine. It's just that a lot of people, which, to be fair, they're traveling around the world to like enter tournaments and try to win money. So if their character's getting nerfed, of course they're going to complain about it because that's potential money out of their pocket.
Sure.
So I don't like see what's wrong with them. Is complaining about it. It's fine, but I feel like the way the patch is going, it's good. It's making the game a lot more balanced. There's a lot more viable characters, and I feel like it makes the meta more interesting. Whereas maybe you'll see, like in like other games, maybe there's like 2, 3, 5 dominant characters, and that's all you see at top levels. Mm-hmm. In Smash 4. We've seen so many different characters. Like I want to say like 15, maybe more, different varieties of characters in top 8s at different regionals and nationals. And I don't think that's something that a lot of other competitive games can say at this moment.
Yeah, and there have been times in the history of games like Mortal Kombat X where I believe the entire top 8 was at that time was the new DLC character Katana, and people were pretty outraged about that.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's I mean, there are times where if it wasn't for people like Hungry Box or even Wobbles at the Five Gods tournament, we probably would have seen we would have seen a pretty Fox heavy. Well, and then of course Westballs, we would have seen a pretty Fox heavy melee top 8. I mean, we know that Fox can be extremely exciting, but one of the things that I think we all love about Smash 4 is the fact that Renai can come out of nowhere with a villager and put 0 on the back foot with Sheik, and I think that's one of the things that makes the game great. Another question coming at you, this one also from Main Kofigo. Main Kofigo, thank you so much for your questions. Wants to know, first of all, he says, hi, Larry.
Oh, hi, Kofigo.
Yes.
How you doing?
And he asks, you play Fox and sometimes the Hype DK, and you used to use Luigi. After these past few patches, are you practicing a new secondary or pocket pick for tournament matches? Let me just say, obviously, if you tell us what your pocket pick is, it's not a pocket pick anymore, is it?
that is very true. I will say, like I said before, I practice a lot of characters, so there are quite a few characters that I have in my pocket. I don't bring him out that much, but I have a Mario. I still have a Luigi. I just don't play him in tournament that much, but I still have him. And I've gone Zero Student tournament as well, and among others. I'm not gonna name all of them, but I have a lot of characters. You could ask anyone who like practices with me. They'll just be like, "Oh my God, Larry, you just so annoying. He uses so many characters."
What is the lowest on the tier list you've ever gone with serious practice? What is the funkiest character that you've ever played?
Um, I think the lowest tiered character I've played was Dr. Mario in tournament.
And why then? If he's so low on the tier list, if he's not as good as regular Mario, why make that choice?
All right, I just want to throw it out there. I didn't do it because of Naruto versus ESAM, because I probably a lot of people were thinking that, but no, I actually practiced Dr. Mario like long before then. I feel like the Mario brothers are very, very similar. So if I have like a Mario or Luigi, I should have a Doc. And that was mainly it. I'm just like, oh, they're pretty much the same. And I like using Mario, and Dr. Mario's pretty fun.
Well, there you go. So you too, you low tier heroes out there, have a shot. You just have to be as talented as LarryLurr. Moving on to our next question. Whippy M wants to know, do you prefer the Brawl Fox voice actor or the Smash 4 Fox voice actor?
You putting me on the spot with that one. Well, not really. I feel like it's pretty obvious. I definitely prefer the Brawl voice actor, and that's mainly because I don't know if you've heard the Smash 4 Fox voice actor, but he is he's something quite special. Uh, Funny enough, okay, so I know that it's supposed to be the original voice actor from Star Fox 64, but it's so weird hearing him in Smash 4. Like, a lot of the things he says, they're just really, really high pitched, or it sounds somewhat. I feel mean for saying this, but it sounds annoying. There's some tournaments where if I'm playing Fox, I'm getting hit a lot. All I hear is people screaming in the crowd, like his like screech sounds, which are like meow, meow. Or like imitating his jab, where it's like ah. I just like hear that while I'm playing. It's like thanks Smash, thanks Star Fox 64 voice actor whose name I don't know.
By the way, quick shout out to I believe it's pronounced Chia Chief for correcting me. It was not Katana that was annoying. It was Tanya when she came out in Mortal Kombat. I'm sure people like Sonic Fox would like to forget those days. Yeah, I've got a theory about the Fox voice actor for Smash 4, and it's that it's actually Slippy in a suit. But they knew they wouldn't sell the game if they made Slippy a character, and so he's just in there. And then eventually, once you win a major with him, he'll just take the suit off, and we'll all find out that it's Slippy's annoying high-pitched voice that's been responsible this whole time. Moving on to our next question. Freya SC wants to know, any chance we'll see you at Melee events this year, or are you fully vested in one game for the time being? At one point last year, I believe you were ranked high in the SoCal PR in 4 different games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was 4. Yeah. So yeah, I was ranked in Melee. I was ranked in Brawl. I was ranked in Smash 4, and I was also ranked in PM. And
Are you about to take your costume off and reveal that you're Mewtwo King? Because that's, I mean,
that'll be another time. I don't wanna people to catch on to me. Not just yet. Just want everyone to keep thinking.
Actually, no, hold on. There's some credence to this theory because he's the only other guy aside from your buddy who really perfected DK. I'm not convinced you're not Jason.
Well then, going about entering more than one event. I actually entered Melee at a tournament in Canada called Virtual Battle Royale, and I won a Melee tournament there. And that was not too long ago. It's like a few weeks ago. So I'm still gonna enter Melee and other Smash games. It's just that when it comes to big nationals or big events, I want to put my primary focus on Smash 4 because I feel like it's very difficult and mentally draining to enter multiple events. And this is something that I've always felt, but it wasn't until recently that I just primarily focused on one. I feel like investing your time in practicing multiple events and entering multiple tournaments, you play worse. You play worse overall in all of them. I mean, I might still win some or things like that, but it's just a lot harder. And I think I'd rather just put most of my effort into winning one event than trying to juggle multiple ones and just feel bad for having an off day in one because I've put a lot of focus into the other one.
I mean, you're saying multiple games sort of drains you. I imagine it sort of spreads you thin. Do you think the same is true of practicing multiple characters? Do you think that maybe your Fox prowess is hurt a little bit, or your DK prowess is hurt a little bit by the fact that you do like to diversify your viable character pool?
Not really. The reason I say that in multiple Smash games is because a lot of the Smash mechanics, though they are different, are also very similar. Because there's like no game, there's like no other game like it, and the fact that it's that way makes it a lot more difficult to like judge. Like in Smash 4, Shield Stun is a lot different than it is in Melee, and the same thing with like other mechanics like doing jumps out of shield or doing aerials out of shield. Like there have been moments in Melee where after I played Smash 4, I've actually inputted. This is gonna sound funny, but in Melee, I inputted my buttons too quickly, and whatever I inputted didn't come out because I like was pressing the buttons too fast, which I know a lot of Melee elitists aren't going to believe, but it's true.
Well, that's respectable, I gotta say.
Yeah. And then what was your question? I forgot actually.
No, it was about the fact that if you practice multiple characters, do you feel like that spreads you thin and maybe keeps you from excelling in one character specifically?
Oh, not so much actually. I feel like learning more characters actually helps me understand the game more, which in turn makes my other characters even better because I kind of get to think of playing in a different perspective that I may not have done so if I had just only played Fox. Because just playing new characters sometimes opens up new options that you're forced to use, especially if you're using like a lower tier character. If you're using someone that's like if you're using like a really bad character, you're gonna have to know all your options and you're gonna have to like make sure that you capitalize on them, which is something that can be said with top tiers, but not nearly as much. Like, if you're playing a low tier, you make one mistake, you could severely be punished for that. And then even then, sometimes the reward's not as fulfilling as it would be.
As somebody who plays King DDD exclusively, I have to disagree. As soon as I land that side smash, what's that meme where like when you land the side smash just right and it's like the guy doing
like
this? Yeah, that guy. That's precisely how it feels. Except it's a penguin in a wrestling robe. We got another question coming to you. This one is from Kenta Cordani. Kenta Cordani wants to know: do you feel that other top Foxes don't take full advantage of Fox's options as you do? I see no one else with the level of effective up airs that you have, and I feel like others are missing out.
So this is pretty funny. A lot of people who ask me how to improve their Fox game, I will tell them to focus on their movement among like other things, but the thing I also try to focus on is just learn to space your up air. That move is ridiculous. And I feel like that's something that even now no Fox does as well as I do. I'm just gonna toot my horn a bit, but
please,
it's true. Like, yeah. If you space it, like that move is so good. If you space it right, it will just beat down some aerials, like some opponents' landing aerials, like Luigi's neutral air, which has an incredibly huge hitbox. If Fox spaces his up air right, he can beat it like just clean. He won't trade or anything. He'll just win. And I'll like point that out to some people and I'll do it, and then I look at some other foxes and they don't do that at all. They'll try to, and they might misspace it, or they just won't go for it at all. And also with his punish game, it's the same thing. Like you just up air. It's so much damage. It kills and it keeps them directly above you, or you can land another up air and you just keep doing it over and over and over again.
Which I'm sure your opponents love.
Oh yeah, they say I'm so smart for doing it.
I'll bet they do. I don't think it's broken at all. Follow-up question to that. This one comes from Rockstar777. Welcome back, Rockstar. Unfortunately, we don't see too many other foxes at the highest level of play. Why do you think that is?
I would say because P requires a lot more precision than other top tier characters. Like his reward game is very, very good, but if you're not on point with him, it's very easy to just get dismantled by your opponent. Like there have been moments where I've just been completely off with Fox and I just gotten destroyed, and then sometimes you just feel like, dang, why am I playing him?
There's half a dozen other characters out there that could do this easier. I've heard people say that about Falco and Melee as well, as it's like, well, let's see, he's a tiny bit slower than Fox. He has he's more difficult to punish with, and his neutral's not quite as good. Why am I using the bird instead of the fox?
Yeah, it was a lot. It could have been said a lot with Sheik as well in Smash 4. Well, I don't know so much now because of the patch, but pre-patch Sheik, it's just like, oh, they have so many similar qualities, and I feel like the way that you play both of those characters are very, very similar. Like they both have very strong neutrals. Their combos may not be exactly the same, but the way you start up a lot of them are somewhat similar. And you can also utilize perfect pivots really well with both of them. I mean, as you saw with Void, who also has a really good Fox, it transitions over really easily, I would say. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, I could just use the better character and not feel this pain anymore.
I'm actually glad you brought up perfect pivots, because that's a perfect segue into our next question. RD159, who I believe is a returning question asker, if you are, welcome back to the show. RD159 wants to know, how do you implement perfect pivots in your gameplay, and how much do you think they benefit you? Do you think that it is something that is necessary to play Fox at a high level?
I would definitely say it is. At the top level, I feel like a lot of characters are going to start doing perfect pivots. I feel like Void has opened everyone's eyes with his usage of perfect pivots, myself included. Mm-hmm. Like that kid is the only reason why I do perfect pivot up tilts. So there's a lot that Fox can do with it. It extends his combos significantly. It's really, like I said earlier, it's a really good approaching tool that he has. It's safer than doing dash attack because it has less cooldown frames, and then you kind of get the same result that you would with dash attack. And it's a really good movement tool. Like I wouldn't say the exact same as a wave dash in Melee, but it's. If Smash 4 had any equivalent to a wave dash, it would definitely be perfect pivots, neutral-wise.
For those of us who can't do perfect pivots, can you explain to us the process a little bit? How do you unlock that tech in your arsenal?
So, what you want to do is you want to do a dash in either the left or right direction, and then as soon as you do that, immediately flick your control stick in the opposite direction. And if you do it right, your character should pretty much just slide and turn around.
That's something that actually, when I saw you and Void against each other at that set, it was funny because you were both sort of styling with it. As soon as one of you would kill the other one, you'd both like perfect pivot moonwalk around the stage just to show that you could do it. So, I mean, I guess if nothing else, even if you can't use it properly, it does look cool.
Oh yeah, it does. It looks really, really cool. And I feel like it's something that's really easy to practice because there's a lot of things in this game that you can't practice as consistently as you would want to, but perfect pivots are very, very simple. All you need is the use of your control stick, and you can do it like anywhere. Like training mode, you could do it there, or in mid match. You might lose, but you could do it.
You can do it as long as you can.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next question. Shadow the Past wants to know, why do you drop the DEHF tag?
So the reason that I don't go by that anymore is mainly because no one really called me Def or DHF when I did use it. A lot of people who knew me competitively always called me Larry anyways. And if you look at some commentary where I went by that tag, even the commentator would just call me Larry.
So even though you were like, that's not my name in Smash, it's Def, they still just called you Larry.
Yeah. And it's funny. So when I started playing Melee competitively again, I want to say it was like 2014, somewhere around there. I told the Crimson Blur, I'm sure you know who he is. I told the Crimson Blur to enter me as Larry because I don't want to go by Def anymore because no one calls me that. And he denied me the offer. He would keep entering me as Def for like months until like he sent me a text message saying, "Do you really want to not go by Def anymore? You know that's a huge step." Like, yes, that's what I've been telling you for so long. He's like, all right, just making sure.
Okay, so why LarryLurr then? Because obviously that's not your real last name.
No. Well, so funny enough, when I first started entering tournaments and went by the tag Def, DHF, there was this Link player in Melee. This was back in 2006. That was when I started playing Melee. There was this Link player named J666 who would just call me LarryLurr. He was just like, LarryLurr. All the time, and then actually caught on. Other people called me LarryLurr.
So now we need to get him on the show and trace it back. We gotta trace this thing to the source.
Yeah, it needs to be like some sort of game show, like a Guess Who, Phone a Friend, type of thing. Just mix like 3 different games together. But yeah, it was. I've actually been thinking about it. Like this whole time, I could have switched my name like in 2006 to LarryLurr, and that would have been better because people actually called me that anyways. But no, I stuck with Def, which funny enough, so it's an acronym. It stands for Does Everyone Hate Falco? Which was the first question.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll just have to figure out an acronym for Larry. I can't. No, I'm done. We'll workshop it. We'll work on it.
All right.
Moving on to our next question. Arrow's Arc wants to know, what is your honest opinion of character patching in Smash 4?
I think it's good. I feel like if there wasn't a character patch, this game wouldn't have been as exciting as it is today. Especially if you look at some of the pre-patch characters like pre-patch Diddy and pre-patch Sheik, like those characters were ridiculous. And I mean like not like previous patch Sheik. I mean like in the very beginning Wii U Sheik, or even like the 3DS days. Like those characters they're bonkers. They could kill you so early.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if they were still in the game, they would be overflowing in tournaments. Like we would just see a bunch of pre-patch Zitties and Sheiks and Rosalinas. It would be insane.
Well, I think a lot of us are thankful for the fact that that's not what we have anymore.
Yeah. And then not only that, but it also helps the lower tier characters. Like a lot of characters have gotten buffs, like Mewtwo, who is steadily climbing up the tier list. I feel like I think Mewtwo might be higher, even top tier now, because of the most recent buff that they gave him.
I think it's cool also that at this point in the game's evolution, where it's still only like 1 or 2 years old, I think it's cool that there are still people coming out and saying, hey, by the way, there's also this guy. I mean, look what iStudying did with Greninja, of all characters. And yeah, like, on paper, Greninja has all the makings of a character that could be good. It's just, I don't know, people haven't been able to put the pieces together, or it just hasn't been worth their time. And then iStudying comes out and does things that just absolutely blew our minds. And I think that's a cool place for the game to be right now. What do you think?
I agree as well. I think that a lot of it also has to do with maybe some regions or countries not getting as much coverage as they should be. Like, iStudying has been a dominant player in Smash 4 since the very beginning, but a lot of people didn't know about him because it wasn't until ESAM and MVD actually traveled to Europe and lost them. They're like, oh, there's other good players in Europe besides Mr. R. Huh.
Yeah.
Never would have thought that.
And I think at this point, after that, and then after Abadango at Evo, and after Renai at Genesis, I think we're all looking forward to seeing the next like truly international Smash 4 competition, because unlike games like Melee and Brawl where they were limited to the console, there's a way, thanks to online gaming, to make a healthy community in all these corners of the world. And of course, everybody has their own take on the game. We don't have a ton of time left, so I want to get to at least a couple more questions before we close up shop for the night. The next one is Questin, who wants to know, are there any matchups you find completely unwinnable for Fox in Smash 4? And how do you get around some of his more difficult matchups?
The great thing about Fox being a top tier character is that you don't have any unwinnable matchups. That's what I feel like a top tier character is, and because of that, he doesn't have any unwinnable matchups. Does he have matchups that I think he loses? Yeah, there are some matchups that I feel like he does lose, and I just counterpick people. If I'm playing like a Kirby, which I think Fox loses to, I just won't go Fox. I'll go Mario or something. That happened to me against Mike Kirby in Hawaii. He beat me as Fox in bracket, and then I played him again and just went Mario and beat him.
Some people though are saying that Kirby's rising in the tier list. Do you think that's true, or do you think that Kirby's just been in the basement for so long that people are just praying for a breakthrough?
I think that Kirby doesn't get as much representation as other characters, which that could be said with like a lot of characters. Like whenever you see someone say, "Oh, this character has a lot of potential," but this character gets no results, it could be that the character itself is not good, or that no good players are using that character. So you just have to ask yourself that question. Which one is it?
I think there's a lot of people out there that are scared of dumping hundreds of hours into a character that isn't viable. But the truth is, I think if we've learned anything from all of the Smash games, to be frank, it's that virtually any character can be competitive. Maybe not championship winning, but competitive given the time and dedication from a passionate player. We'll go with one more question before we let you go for the night. Thanks so much for joining us, and I appreciate all your insightful answers. This one comes from Bimbo74, who asks, your Twitter bio says soon to be an accountant. Can you talk more about this? Do you plan on balancing work and Smash? Also, what other interests do you have outside of Smash?
So, if all goes well, I should graduate from college with an accounting degree in fall.
Nice.
Fall of this year. And once that happens, I am planning on working at an accounting firm, hopefully as an auditor. So yeah, that is
You make a lot of friends being an auditor.
Oh yeah. So that's where I'm going with my career path. As far as balancing work and Smash, I do plan on doing that. there are a lot of players who can do that. I feel like the most notable one is Hungrybox. He's actually I believe he's working full time and also playing Smash competitively. So kind of inspired me to try that as well. So I'll give it a try. If I suck at it, I'm quitting though.
Quitting your job?
Oh, so interests and hobbies. I I'm a really big nerd, so I like to play video games a lot. I like a lot of the older titles. Something that I have been playing a lot, but I have been getting around to because of work, work and school is Earthbound. I've been playing that a lot. Such a good game.
You're a man after my own heart. That is literally my favorite game of all time, and I respect you all the more for playing it. Larry, that is actually going to do it for us tonight. Do you have any well wishes, any shout outs before we close up shop?
Say shout outs to everyone in SoCal. Also watch 2GGT this Saturday, the Faux Saga. It's gonna have Nairo there. A lot of fun.
Nice.
And then to all the newer players or people who are trying to get into Smash, just stick with it. Study the game up. Go on Smash boards. Ask questions to people. Learn the game.
Get good, folks. Get good. Larry, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We really appreciated your insight and your passion for the game. So thank you so much. If you feel like coming back, give us a call, man. You know where to find us.
Yeah, I would love to.
Thanks so much, man. We appreciate it. And that, as I said, that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. If you enjoyed the show, hit that follow button down there in the corner. Or if you're feeling particularly generous and want our 2 super cool sub emotes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's only $5 a month, and we really appreciate it. If you want to catch the video after the fact, share it with your friends. Check us out on youtube.com/daily.esports for more esports coverage and hilarious, wonderful video content. Check us out over on Facebook, daily.esports, and then on Twitter @esports. I've been Ian Double John Barker. Larry has been our esteemed guest. This is the Smash Brothers AMA, brought to you by the Daily Dot. We'll see you next time.